Santa Cruz because it feels like home even if you're not originally from here, and it's not so touristy even though it's a very hot vacation spot.
Have you ever heard of something called Agenda 21?
Agenda what?
It's a policy that's been adopted by the Board of Supervisors. Instead of using the American separation of powers, legislative, executive, judicial, and due process, they're implementing the European Union governance where everything's run from The Hague and people have very little to say, because they think they can plan a better world.
That's very interesting. So in the Santa Cruz County, we're not really going to have democratic due process?
It's already happened. They've already...
Wow.
He sits on the House Appropriations Committee and also the Subcommittee on Agriculture, Rural Development, and the Federal Drug Administration. And he also co-chairs the House Ocean Caucus and Congressional Caucus on Travel and Tourism. For me, having worked with Sam in the past, I think one of the things that makes him such a great representative for our area is that being here tonight and to listen to our concerns. And I know for a fact that he takes those back to Washington and shares them with his colleagues and advocates on our behalf. So please join me in welcoming Sam Farr, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. That's Kimberly Peterson, who's the mayor of Watsonville, and she didn't announce that she also has a conflict of interest because she started working here in the area in my office.
You've been a long-term supporter of Agenda 21. Now, I've been studying...
I don't even know what that was around about 10 years ago, some proposal, but I don't even know what it is.
It was the politicians lying with the Schmitz movement.
It was a proposal which was guised under the essence of environmentalism, but in essence, when one digs deeper into Agenda 21, which Santa Cruz was selected as one of the premier test cases for Agenda 21 back in 1970. And it links back into this one world order or new world order agenda, which is trying to take governance away from we the people and hand it to these administrative agencies who are not in any control of the people.
Do you have any examples of that here in Santa Cruz County? What are
the most classic, the red tag process. The red tag process in our county is administered by our county without any due process of law under the constitutional guidelines or under common law guidelines. We have it
for zoning violations.
Yeah, we have administrative procedures where the county becomes our judge. They also make the code. So they're our legislature, our judiciary, and they're our punisher. They are.
So you think that's all part of Agenda 21?
Yes, you're talking about the difference between checks and balances with the House of Representatives and the Senate. And the same thing that's happened within the supervisory districts. We found in Santa Cruz and in Monterey, an appeals board for housing and for building has been totally taken away, and they've adopted this Agenda 21, which is so-called harmonizing laws. They're making them similar throughout the United States, taking away due process in anticipation of a North American Union, the same thing they did in Europe.
Okay.
Agenda 21 was adopted by the Santa Cruz Board of Supervisors, and it says right here, congratulations by Sam Farr, Congressman, and that you're carrying it to the other two counties, so your stated ignorance of this is not truthful. This type of law is being imposed in the cities and in the counties, and they're stripping away due process, checks and balances. People have lost, in Santa Cruz County alone, at least $500 million, forcing them to go to attorneys and other people with an out-of-control planning department and other departments. I wish you'd get back to understanding the value and the uniqueness of the United States with its checks and balances, with due process, the separation of powers, legislative, executive, and judicial. This United Nations thing is a fraud on the people, and they want to crush the sovereignty of the United States, create a North American Union, the same thing they did in Europe. 3 countries in Europe got to vote on it. They all voted it down, and they're all being forced under control of Brussels. You have no idea the freedom you're losing, this changing the American currency, the dollar, to the or a world currency. It's all about world government and his supporters like Packard who hide their billions in foundations. And that's your endorsement of this program, and you say you're going to carry it to all 3 counties.
Governor Schwarzenegger he was here actually visiting, and met with some of the supervisors, and he issued an executive order suspending fees. It was actually mailed to everybody. I don't know if you read it or if you're even aware of his executive order because of the fires that took place, allowing property owners to clear their area for safety so that the debris that was caused by the fires wouldn't pollute the watersheds. One property owner was clearing his area, and he got a red tag, a violation for following even the Army Corps of Engineers procedures on clearing his lot. I mean, it was devastating, and if he didn't clean it up, it would have, when the rains hit, it would just flooded the whole watershed. The creek would have been all sludged up and everything. The guy did a beautiful job. Instead of getting kudos and paying attention and being supported for the work that he was trying to do to clean his property, just a young couple just bought a little small farm, and you got code enforcement officers going there and threatening these people with prison, sick and fish and game on them, and the district attorney to go after them, all this stuff, Sam. I mean, what are people supposed to do when they go down there, and they try to talk to them? First of all, you got these officials coming out. They're intimidating enough as it is, and then you lost everything you own, and you're trying to clean it up and build again, and all they're doing is just giving this family a hard time.
Santa Cruz Planning Department.
My name is Travis Smith. My property here that got burnt down in the Traven fire.
Did you get permission to grow the grass?
I got a stop work order from doing my erosion control. Trying to get this erosion control done before winter, before it becomes a huge mess and floods the road.
Well, this county takes permission to grow grass to save your neighbors and your property from erosion.
Now you have a sign over here. It's no trespassing.
Yeah, we had a meeting scheduled, and 3 days in advance of the meeting, I found them past the gate, walking around, trying to collect evidence against me.
But they're screwing you and then wanting you to pay them $150 an hour. Is that right?
They told me that go ahead and apply for your building permits. We won't hold this red tag against you. We just want you to clean up. And so I paid them $5,500, got $30,000 worth of paperwork together that they require. And then when I turned in the building permit and I'm paying $155 an hour for their services, they're going to go ahead and process my building permit, but they say they will not give it to me because of this red tag violation until I come up with these things that are literally impossible for me to come up with, like a blueprint of what it looked like before the fire. I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't even know how I could possibly comply with that. All the appeals processes that I get to go through are all contained within the same department, and it's like I don't even get to get outside the department to try and appeal this. It's no separation of power whatsoever.
The county becomes our judge. They also make the code. So they are legislature, our judiciary, and they're our punisher.
This was just solid ash and burnt trees all the way to the ground, white ground. Obviously the firemen aren't going to put out a bunch of trees when they're trying to save all the houses around the area. So that they kind of contain the fire here, let it all burn to the ground. A few of the trees made it. I mean, they have some damage. They're starting to grow back. It's been about, June 20th, and it's now end of September. I had to drive actually through the creek up to get to my house. And I went to try and go get an emergency permit to scoop out the silt and return my bridge to how it was. And they told me that it would take over a year to get the permit, and they didn't even know if I could do it. And I couldn't use any tractors. I had to do it by hand with a biologist present on site.
This is insanity. This is Nazi fucking Germany is what it is.
The biologists are provided by the county for a fee. I didn't even get into that because there was...
Wait a minute. The biologists are charging a fee to sit there watching you with a shovel, alter this so you could drive onto your own property.
Right. And there was no way that I could scoop this out by hand with the shovel because it was like you step in it and you're knee deep in silt. So I had to break the law and get a tractor down here. And since I did that, Larkin Valley used to flood. This road out here used to flood when we got an inch in 24 hours of rain. They used to store a road closed sign in my driveway and just move it out every time we even got a light to moderate rain. Since I did the work, the road hasn't flooded in the last 2 winters, where it would have flooded multiple times. They would have left the sign here.
We just want to rebuild for our kids what we had, the house, kids and I were at swim lessons, so we had bathing suits, flip-flops. Come home to nothing, It's gone. Thanks to the community, people have donated stuff for us. That's just personal property, and we're living in a rental, but, this is where home is supposed to be being rebuilt, and 3.5 months later, we're waiting.
We're basically like we're in government housing, except for we're required to buy and maintain it how they want. It's not private property anymore. We're required to maintain the property just how the government wants it, or not allowed to maintain it at all without being, a millionaire or something.
This person is a victim not only of a fire, which might be arson, but of the county that intends to steal its property. At the same time, we've got the Panettas and the Rockefellers and these other people putting other land into land trust in which they control. The Monterey Bay area is a very pleasant area for them to do their rural cleansing. This is exactly what the Wildlands Project is all about. They said they don't care. They're following an ordinance. And they keep coming up with ordinances that don't apply. They care less about the law. And this has to do with the damn district attorney in this area and county council. The attorneys that are supposed to be officers of the court are doing the exact opposite. They're supposed to be in there protecting, providing the separation of powers, and they're doing the opposite.
How about that porky politician they call her the city manager? She's getting more than the vice president of the United States in salary, $250,000 or nearly that, $250,000 a year, while the people are starving.
And absolutely, the chairman of the Board of Supervisors appoints her own husband to the planning department while this thievery is going on. And the department of the Association of Realtors keep their people dumb and stupid because they control the education committee, and the person that's in charge of that, or one of them, is Barbara Palmer, who took their money. What they used that money for was to give it to Sam Farr, who wrote the introduction to Agenda 21, doing the exact opposite.
Has a problem, come contact our office.
He exhibited more knowledge about health and safety codes and the interpretations of what nuisance is and how it applies to cities and counties.
Going up to the top of the hill, this is where the house used to be. It's about 800 feet or so down to what they call the sensitive habitat. So why the restoration of that is holding up my rebuilding of the house, which is way up here. I have no idea. Sounds like we could work on the two things simultaneously and separately. The fact that they're not letting me rebuild my house because something that happened down there seems totally ridiculous. They should just let us rebuild, especially when I give them all the permits that say I'm building to the uniform building code in the same exact spot.
Well, see that's what now. Look, that's what ties this thing in together here. The place burns down suspiciously. There's puffs of smoke going along from in some unknown car.
It wasn't started in one spot, right?
It started in multiple spots. Your place burns down. Then they hassle you about rebuilding. They don't want you to rebuild, obviously.
Obviously, because they're not even following state law. They're making stuff up at this point.
I think an executive order is exactly what it means. Executive order from the governor of the state of California in an emergency. I mean, I don't know what kind of other spin you could put. You know, if it was an executive order to kick everybody off their land, I'm sure they would have moved on it quick, you know.
Well, one thing too, the code compliance officers didn't come here blindfolded. They didn't come on my property with blinders on, and they red tagged me, and their major thing was, oh, you cleared it down to the dirt. That's what they kept saying. You graded down to the dirt. And look across the hill over there. You know, that guy happens to, you know, they were clearly like looking right at that guy's property, which was that looked just like that at the time. And, you know, nothing. They came here, they looked at the property behind here, which is down to the dirt. The property over there down to the dirt. That guy's land's down to the dirt. Everybody who got their as they drove on Highway 1, on the way here, all the way on the side of the freeway, down to the dirt.
Yeah, we have the red tag now, which means we can't touch anything, can't drive this thing anywhere on this 5 acres, 6 acres, 5.8 acres. So, and you know, everything takes so many months and time, even though we're fire victims. Everything's supposed to be pushed through and quickened, but we're 3 months out.
If there's enough individuals involved, we'll set up kind of a round table with the people affected and the agencies, and to see if we can work through this.
The governor signed an executive order saying any property owner that needed help protecting a watershed was actually supposed to get the labor furnished by the Department of Corrections to help protect the watershed, and that they were waiving all permits and application fees to do any work for land clearing after the fire and to protect the watershed.
These people are immovable and they're outside of the law.
The county becomes our judge. They also make the code. They're our legislature, our judiciary, and they're our punisher.
All the appeals processes that I get to go through are all contained within the same department. You know, and it's like I don't even get to get outside the department to try and appeal this.
Specifically, what's going on here?
Specifically, the county is harassing us about our property, saying that we have to haul off and clean and do to their rules what they want done. And
well, is this your property or is it their property?
Our property.
I didn't quite hear that.
It's our property.
It's your property?
They're alleged violations that they alleged a year ago. She has all the pictures here.
Tracy, what are the alleged violations that we're talking about here?
That we have too many vehicles.
Too many vehicles. What, isn't this your property?
Well, yeah, inoperable vehicles.
Inoperable vehicles.
That we had some property that was needed to be torn down, we had an old house over here that's now gone. We had this is road oil. They're calling it regular oil, but we got rid of that. Mm-hmm. Just some odds and ends and stuff that was around the house that they liked us to get rid of, which, as you can see, is all gone.
And they tried to say we were running a junkyard.
Oh yeah, that we had an illegal wrecking yard. And these are just like, vehicles and stuff. We used to have a trucking company, and they want us to clear up any remnants of the trucking company.
But that was your business, right?
Yeah, and we already won the right to own that business here. They rezoned.
What do you mean you have to have a right? Don't you automatically have the right to own your own business?
No, that's my nephew.
They rezoned the property around us back in 1950s. And we had a trucking company here for almost 100 years.
How are you involved with this?
I live here.
You live here?
Yeah, and I was one of the ones who had the trucking company here. This is my dad. He used to live in the house over there, which he sold because he got tired of the harassment and stuff, and he finally moved out of here. But he lived on this piece of property for over 90 years, 80 years.
How old are you, sir?
83.
You're 83. And you were born here? Born right here? Born in this house over here? How do you describe this? Is this...
My dad lived here.
He was born in the 1800s?
Yes. He come from Los Banos over here. Lived with the Castros in a tent.
And they want to take your place away? They want to take your place away, sir?
The harassment. Harassment. They don't know who they're after. For years. Then I moved.
And this is my dad. His great-grandfather, which was Juan de la Pena, was the first one to be here. So there were 5 going on 6 generations in this one property.
And the government's telling you what to do with your property, is that right?
Constantly. And it's always been nothing but battling.
This Agenda 21 is pretty vicious.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about. We hauled off, paid a lot of money out for one attorney, almost 40 grand. And then we finally ran out of cash. He got it settled. And here we are again.
$40,000. You have to work for the sweat of your brow?
Yeah.
Look at all the corruption going on here. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Who they get voted in.
The planning department, Tom Burns, denied this man the right to the appeals board that's mandatory by law. The 5 supervisors appointed people to that appeals board, and that appeals board had never met in the 7 years ever. And they reconstituted into a new kangaroo court, and they reappointed 3 of those people that never showed up for victims throughout this county, amounting to $500 million in damages. It's a violation of civil rights. It's a gross violation of due process and separation of powers. They control the planning commission as far as that appeals process consists, because the chair of the supervisors appointed her own husband to the planning commission. And Campos, who was also under red tag threats, hired that particular man, put him on staff, and then appointed him to the planning commission. It's one big corrupt county that has a foreign agenda that's imposing its will on free Americans, people here, the pioneers themselves.
Why are they doing this to you?
Greed. It's greed. I watch the man sit over here and drink his booze and just look the place over. You'll never get it. And if he gets it, so help me, if I'm still alive, so help me. I'm not going to be a happy man.
Long time, but doesn't mean we're done with them.
I know. Whenever we win, they come back again.
Come back a year later.
They'll be back.
It's always a year. After a year, they come back again. This is like fight number 6 for us.
Oh, more than 6. Like
ever since we were kids.
Growing up.
Yeah. So
we've seen him fight since we were tots. Anytime you start to move anything in the yard, boom, county comes right in, starts shipping him paperwork, red tags. You got to do this, you got to do that. And it's just not right. Pushing people out of where they were raised and everything, and where your family comes from, your roots are. There's no such thing. If you let people like this take over your life, what's the use of living? They're making it a communist country. You really don't have no rights.
this a meeting or is it a circus? Good morning. Good morning. Who are we meeting with?
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, Jeffrey. My name's Ken Hart. Who? Ken Hart.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great. Great.
Jeffrey?
Rodriguez on us.
Hello?
Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I'm glad you folks allowed us to come and do an inspection. I was a little concerned last time we were here. I spoke with your nephew, Anthony, and apparently there you are. How's it going? Good. I guess he didn't quite understand what we were hoping to do that day. Had a little miscommunication. So, let's see what we have here and what has been taken out. Are all these
So I
folks?
think I spoke to, was it Tracy? Or?
This is me.
Hi, yeah, hi. Tough to meet you. And you had said you'd made a lot of progress, so that's kind of what we're here to take a look at.
What is the problem with the all of the inspections and?
And who are you, sir?
Anthony J. Hilder,
Okay.
American Free Press.
Okay. Are you the property owner? Are you related
No,
to the property owner?
I'm with the press.
Okay. Well, I'm not here to talk to the press.
You're not here to talk.
No, I'm here to.
You can answer a question, all right?
No, I'm
You
here.
can't answer a question.
No, I'm busy. I'm meeting with.
You can't answer a
Mr.
question.
No, I'm not going to answer your question because
Ask him the question.
I'm here
They want to know a
to meet with
question.
Mr. De La Pena and to resolve
He
these
wants to know
issues.
what's in his closet is what he wants to know. If it's okay that he has certain clothes. What do you got in your closet for clothes?
Mr. De La Pena, I was hoping we could, with your permission, of course, walk around the property and verify what's been removed and what might still need to be removed, so we can just
We think it's fine.
resolve this
What do
matter.
you think from right here? Yeah, I thought it was a nuisance from the road. That's what we need to know. That's what you
my
file a
brother.
complaint.
I'm here to speak with Jeffrey. I've asked his permission. We're required to ask folks permission to go on a property. They have a right to deny us entry. And that's
And you
what
red
happened.
tag it.
That's what happened last month. So when I spoke with your nephew, I was here under official county business, and I asked him. I explained why I was here, and he denied me entry. And so I have to do my job. So when people prevent me from doing my job, let me finish. When people prevent me from doing my job, I have to request an inspection warrant from the judge. That's what we do when we have an active case on a property, when there's active code violations, or if we have to inspect, and if people don't let us do our job, we get what's called an inspection warrant. And that's what I got.
Has there been a crime committed here?
Now, I was hoping...
I asked a question. Has there been a crime committed here?
I was hoping you would allow us to take a look around to see what's back here so we can close this case. And we'll be done with this case. I can close it. We can resolve it. If things have been done, then I need to verify that. That's part of my job.
The first time, we pretty much did a lot.
You did a lot.
And you tried to say, no. Then you come back and you say, we didn't do enough. Then you come back, you're going to bring sheriffs, you're going to bring all these people to clean out my yard. That's not right. That would be like me going to your house and saying, cut your grass, it's not short enough.
Okay. I know you're upset.
Yeah, I'm very upset. That's why I stay away from you, because you, as far as I'm concerned, me and you, we don't get along.
Okay. Well, we want to resolve this issue. We just want to make sure everything gets done. See, I can't close the case
you know
until
what?
everything's
You can close
done.
the case, but what did you tell me? You said it would be nice. Then you put in your letter afterwards that house had to be demoed. I told you why it was there. You said, I'm just recommending it. You don't have to. You can seal it up where people can't get into it. Then you write into your letter afterwards. The original red tag didn't have that. You tried to say I was running a salvage yard here with all the cars. No.
Daniel,
I wasn't running a wrecking yard.
I have all the paper. I have all the paperwork in the file. Everything, all the letters I sent you that basically described the violations and described what time frame you had. Described.
But the house was not in there originally.
Jeffrey signed an agreement that this would be all cleaned up by November of last year. So all I'm here to do is to verify that it's been done. That's all I'm here for. I don't need to go in your house. I'm not interested in your house. I just need to verify that, the vehicles here are all registered. I know you and I had an agreement. I said, Daniel,
was being done.
Let me finish. You can keep 2 junk cars or inoperable vehicles in the back out of public view. Even though this is zoned commercial agriculture, it's not residential, it's zoned commercial agriculture. In a commercial agriculture zone, you can't have any kind of unregistered or inoperable vehicle. But I gave that to you. I made sure that I was being fair with you to keep those things back here. I don't have to do that for you, but I did it in the interest of moving the case along and getting things finished. Remember, last year we talked about the big giant commercial truck you had back here. I said
Nothing wrong with it.
What's that?
There was nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And we made a deal, you and I, verbally, that you can keep that truck here. I didn't say, oh, you got to remove the truck. I said you could keep that truck. In the interest of closing the case and resolving this problem, I gave you those things. I gave those concessions to you. Technically, no, you can't have any junk cars in the CA zone. But in the interest of moving things along and trying to be fair with you, I let you keep those things.
Are you saying that you, Mr. Rodriguez, gives permission to people to allow somebody to keep a truck on their own property?
So that's basically what I'm here for. I tried to work with you. You've cleaned up quite a bit. We just want to finish it. We just want to make sure it's done. That's why I'm here.
Do you have the authority as an individual coming over?
So hopefully, Jeffrey,
representing the government and telling him what to do, or anybody else what to do?
To walk and just take a look.
So you're going to ignore what I'm asking, right?
I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to Mr. De La Pena and his family.
I'm here to talk to you.
Oh.
You know what? Why didn't you, when it was flooding, when I was still here, you people didn't do nothing because it floods here every year, a little spot in the road, right?
Hey, Jeffrey, is there any way we could kind of move this along? Because I got to get back.
Yeah, let him.
And unfortunately, because it's an active case, you're being charged for this time. So the more time we spend here,
you're charging them money for this.
You're charging them money for coming out. So I would suggest we kind of move this along.
Is that what's happening?
So we can kind of finish up here.
They're charging.
So this truck is currently registered
per hour. Look at it. For this guy coming out. I mean, this is outrageous.
You're in my way. You're gonna have to move out of my way. Okay. Thank you very much.
These men coming into this property, telling these people who've been up here for 100 years what to do. They're charging you. In this particular county, they're red tagging you.
This is your stuff here?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this stuff that you want to keep?
Taking your homes, your income, your freedoms, your future.
Excuse me, no, you know what, we'll get in the truck and leave, and then we won't be resolving any situations today. I'm not interested in being on camera at this time.
And regulating your children. That's what they do. They say, well, it's their job.
We send an expungement request to our fiscal staff. Mm-hmm. They look at the time that's been put into it, and they send out we get charged. The planning department gets charged by the recorder's office to do an expungement. That fee is $93, so we ask the property owner to pay that, and then any time that the investigator is put into the case, and in this case it's about $1,200, that be paid prior to the expungement, and then we're done.
So you're charging these people $1,200?
That's correct.
And what service are you providing to these people?
Well, we're fulfilling a mandate by the Board of Supervisors that the code compliance section not be completely funded by the general fund.
That's not the question I asked. I said, what service are you providing to these people for the $1,200?
We put in $1,200 worth of time into this case.
Was the case against them?
Yeah, the complaint was about this piece of property, right? Right. So, I think we're done.
It's like in Castro, Cuba.
And I don't know.
Europe.
Well, they send our bill. I mean, Jake can send the expungement request to our fiscal staff today. Mm-hmm. I don't know what their timing is, but it's within a few days that they send out.
Oh, they're pretty busy. It's more like a week.
Okay. Okay. And that information would come to, it's the person on
The person on title. It would go to
so-
Jeffrey. Yeah, I could.
Right, and so we
I
have
could
your correct
CC you a
name.
copy if you like. We can do that. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, wherever the tax bill goes, that's what we use.
Jeffrey will send it to you, and then I'll send a copy to Tracy.
Okay.
So everybody knows what's up.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, folks.
We need to expose these criminals. We need to make sure that they are the ones going to prison instead of property owners.
I understand you had an off-road bike in the back, and they wanted to tag you for an off-road bike that didn't need licensing to begin with because it's off-road?
Exactly.
I mean, they don't care whether it's in the code or whether it's in the law, something as simple that anybody can understand. They're willing to violate and red tag and push you around.
Exactly. Specifically with the off-road bike, it's like all you got to do is be 16 and not take it on the road. No big deal.